16th meeting of the school building committee here in Holyoke. As you know, Aaron Brunel, our co-chair. Mayor Garcia is not with us this evening as he is leading the city on an expedition in Puerto Rico, which is pretty great. So we do not have any public comment. We'll get right into the agenda here. We do have one new member I'm excited to introduce to you all. Oh, excuse me. So we have Anya Ryan Duffy joining us. She is a landscape architect, and Mayor Garcia had thought of her and reached out to her, and she graciously accepted. Anya is a mother of two, soon to be hopefully HPS students, and lives in Ward 6 currently. I think that's the block on Sycamore, if I've got that address right in my Holyoke brain.
Thanks.
Not in Ward 4, but pretty close. So welcome, Anya. We look forward to having your insight and input. Margaret and I had a quick phone call with her the other day and try to catch her up to speed. So if you have any questions, you can raise your hand with your little doohickey down there if you know how to use it, or use your regular hand as well, and we'll call on you as needed. So welcome to the group, Anya.
Sure. Thank you. Very excited to be here.
All right. So Margaret, I'm going to turn things right on over to you, my dear, and you are going to take us over a review of the schedule.
Yep.
We'll go from there.
Okay. So the one thing I'd like to do, just so Anya starts to connect names to faces, can I call on folks and get you all to briefly introduce yourself and say what your role is? So I'm going to call names. So is Camilla with us tonight? Not seeing Camilla. Okay. How about David Yost? You could unmute yourself and just comment on your role on the committee. David, let's see. Okay, I'm going to, he was here. He was here. I'm going to come back to him. So Deborah Vega, you're next.
Hi, I'm Deborah Vega. I'm a member of this middle school building committee. I'm also on the subcommittee for programming, and I am a parent. That's it. I can't change my name. I'm sorry, it says Vega Yoga. I am.
I think I've been to one of your classes. Hi, Deborah.
How about Jackie Glasheen? Jackie, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, Anya. My name is Jackie Glasheen. I work in the Holyoke Public Schools. I'm the executive director of school leadership, which is like the fancy term for the principal coach. I'm also a parent of a senior at Holyoke High.
Awesome. Nice to meet you. Hi.
Jamie Mara.
Hi, Anya. I am actually the interim chief procurement officer for the city of Holyoke.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Do we have Jessica Perella with us tonight? Not seeing Jessica.
I don't see her yet, Margaret.
How about Kathy Ortiz?
I'm here. I figured out the Zoom because I'm in a different computer. But okay. Welcome, Anya. Nice to meet you. My name is Kathy. I am the school part of the school committee. I am in the communication committee, and I work. I have worked in the community for a couple of years now, and I work as a college and career readiness advisor with a program through Valley Opportunity Council called Gear Up in the Springfield Public Schools.
Nice to meet you.
Terrific. I'm going to circle back to David Yost so I don't forget him. David, are you able to turn on your camera and say hello? I think he's cooking mac and cheese too. Okay. Let's see. Kathy Ortiz, Mark Lubold.
Hello, Anya. My name is Mark Lubold. I'm a volunteer on the school building committee, and I'm also on I think it's called the Building and Design Subcommittee. We haven't really met too much recently, but I think as we get a little further along, we might have some meetings, and that might be an area or a subcommittee you might be good on.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, as we start to work with the architect and moving forward. And I also am a parent. I have a senior at the high school, and I'm a proud graduate of Peck School that's about to be demolished.
Oh, wow.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
How about Peter Tallman?
Welcome, Anya. My name is Peter Tallman. I'm a city councilor at large. I sit on the finance committee. And I also am a member of the finance with David Yost in the school building committee. I have a granddaughter that graduated from Holyoke High School in 2020.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Raina Lorenzi.
Hello, I'm Raina. I'm a voting member, part of the finance subcommittee, and I have two children in elementary school age. Welcome.
Thank you.
Whitney Anderson.
Hi, Anya. I'm joined tonight with Mr. as usual for our meeting get together with Mr. William Collmore here, school committee member. And I am the maintenance administrator for the Holyoke Public Schools, and also joined Mark Lubold as in the building advisory committee, for which would be great for you with your landscape
Thank you.
knowledge.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, it's an interesting site for sure.
You too.
And Mr. Collmore is a working group member and a very, very long time school committee member.
Nice to meet you.
See. Anthony Soto, fearless leader.
Hi, Anya. Thank you for joining the committee. You're filling in a lot of gaps that we thought we had on the committee, so thank you so much. I am the superintendent here in Holyoke Public Schools, also a proud graduate of Dean, but I did go to Peck as well. So again, thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And Mr. Yost, David, are you back with us? Can you turn the sound on and say hello to Anya?
Yes, hopefully I finally got this phone working. I'm the chair of the finance committee, and I welcome you, Anja, to our school building committee.
Thank you.
So I'm just gonna briefly sort of call out the names of the Mount Vernon group team who are here, because they're going to do most of the talking tonight, so you get a flavor of them. So I see Chris LeBlanc is here. Can you put up your hand so Anya can figure out who you are? And then Dana Staley. And then do we have Frank Tedesco here tonight?
Frank was supposed to join us, but not yet.
Okay. So he's got a couple minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. I always do this, Wendy. So in addition to the voting members of the committee, there's also some working group members. So Mr. Collmore is one. Wendy is also one. Wendy, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, Anya. I'm Wendy Weiss. I'm a social worker in the community, and I have 2 and eventually 3 elementary school students in the dual language program.
Hey, Wendy. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And then the other person, some of you may remember from a few weeks ago, is my comrade, Ksenia Slavsky. As a reminder, Ksenia was the one who was working spreadsheet magic on the screen a few weeks ago. Oh, Isaka, I'm sorry. I missed you. Can you say hello as well?
Hi, I'm Isaka Axelrod, and I apologize. I haven't been here in a while. I was teaching Thursday nights, but that course is over. I am a parent of 3 young children in the Holyoke Public School District, and my regular job is I'm faculty at UMass Amherst in the College of Education.
Hi, Isaka. Nice to meet you.
It's Isaka.
Isaka. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
I
it's
tried.
Okay. No, it's fine. I figure, but if people then, it gets awkward if I don't correct it the first time. So then I just correct it the first time.
Keep correcting. Keep correcting us. Yeah. I do respond to being reminded.
Okay.
Okay. So I just want to kind of quickly revisit the schedule that we talked about last week and talk about a couple things that have happened since we last met. So I'm going to steal the screen for a minute. This is not something new. It's what we looked at last time, but I want to give you a couple of updates. Can everybody see this crazy spreadsheet? Can folks see it?
Mhm. Yes.
Good to go.
Good to go. Okay. So we are now in this week, the week of February 13th. And I'm sure there are some people here who have big plans for school vacation week next week. The main event tonight is the architecture team is going to talk about their initial approach to revising the model school plans to fit with your program. And we did have a really good working session with Aaron Linville, who couldn't be here tonight, and Anthony, on Tuesday, right? And so what they're bringing tonight is includes Aaron and Anthony's input, but there are going to be additional meetings. We just thought it would be good to get into a little bit more nitty gritty of the plans. And then as a reminder, we have a meeting on March 2nd where they're going to be presenting some options for the building exterior. You will get updates on these different parts of the project as we go, but each meeting sort of has a focus and then other updates. Then the week of the 16th, we're going to be looking at the proposed site plan, which is, adapting the middle school to this site, the model school. This meeting that was tentatively set for 3:30 is, I think, going to move a week earlier. And that has to do with the fact that this date, the 30th, is a conflict for both Anthony and Aaron. So I think what we said was we were going to move it to the 23rd. Does anybody have a conflict with the 23rd? I'm just trying to get a sense of whether that works. I am not seeing any objections. Okay.
Margaret, what night is the 23rd? Is it?
It's the same. It's Thursday.
Oh, Thursday. Okay.
But it's just a week earlier.
Okay. Yeah.
So we'll go back to back and then not have one on the 30th.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we might
can't do the
something
23rd, Margaret. I'm sorry. I was looking for my hand raised. I couldn't find it. I can't do the 23rd. I'm going to be on a cruise in March. So.
Okay. Well, you have to call in from the cruise, Jamie.
Yeah. I absolutely would if I have service. I have no problem doing that. So I'll be a Mark Lubold call from the game.
Well, so while you bring it up, so I am not, so then the next meeting, I think this meeting, March 2nd, I will not be able to attend, but my fearless compatriot, Ksenia, will be here, and possibly also Bob Stevens. So no harm, no foul. Enjoy the cruise. So, and then we have a meeting on the 13th where we're going to be looking at the schematic design submittal. And then there's these other activities that are going on that the consultant team are doing. And then the district is scheduling a bunch of meetings to give further detailed feedback on the programming. And as I think you'll remember, we talked about community engagement dates, and I don't have them at my fingertips, but I believe Aaron established a couple, and we'll come back to that just to sort of check and make sure everybody is aware of them. So with that, I just want to see if there's any questions before I take this down. Going once, going twice. Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to Chris and Dennis. And we're going to focus on the plan, how the model school plan will adapt to your program for the bulk of this. But at the end, we'll sort of stop and come back around to see what other process questions and content questions people have. Okay, so Chris and Dennis, the floor is yours.
Okay, and I have the ability to share my screen. And let me know when you can see that.
We can see it.
Excellent. So, as you all may know, or if you don't, I'm Chris LeBlanc, project manager for Mount Vernon Group. So I'm going to turn this over to Dennis. We're going to talk about the plan updates that have been discussed at last Tuesday's meeting and how we're moving forward. So Dennis, whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Chris. Hi, everyone. And new member, what is Anya? No. Anya, yes,
Anya.
Anya.
Hi.
Hi. So we had I'm Dennis Staley. I'm the design principal at Mount Vernon Group. And we, folks here are pretty familiar with the plan. They might notice that there's been a few changes to it. We had a really good meeting earlier this week in the superintendent's office. And we got rid of some of sort of contorted shaped spaces. And now that we've had some time to really dig in and take a deeper dive into the entire program, we've been able to, rectify some of those problems and also identify where the program has changed since the first time it was submitted to MSBA and the original building was designed. So much of that had to do with things that were happening in special education. So with no further ado, I'd like to show this first floor plan with, can I take command of this?
You should be able to point,
Yeah.
you're sharing, point and do whatever you need.
So do I go to the video and then I'm used to Teams. So
Tell me about it. Yeah.
Chris, what do I do?
Well, does Chris have it on his screen or do you?
I have it on mine.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Chris is going to have to point for you. He's going to have to read your mind.
Oh, okay. All right. So we can't do, okay. So Chris, we're going to talk about coming in the front lobby through a vestibule, and to your left will be the administrative suite. The vestibule you'll be buzzed into it. And once you're buzzed into it, you'll be able to state your business through like a bank window, which also has a transaction drawer in it. Anything that anybody has to deliver can be delivered through the transaction drawer and they can leave.
Chris, can you, if we're going to look at the admin area, can you zoom that up a little so that people can see it bigger on the screen? Thank you.
Yeah. Let me just exit out a little bit. Get this a little larger.
Oh. That was a good size, Chris. So you can point to where the transaction screen is in the vestibule, and that's to prevent anybody from coming into the school that really doesn't need to be there. If they do have to come in, then they are buzzed into the lobby through the vestibule, and then they'll come into the administrative area. Administrative area has not, all the discrete spaces have not been determined, but there are rooms there that are based in accordance with the MSBA's guidelines, and as there is as well a medical suite at the bottom near a separate entry in case there's any emergencies where people might need to be taken by ambulance from the nurse's office. They can come out of that vestibule and it's right on the driveway. So that said, once you're in, the school is basically split into two learning wings. And on this particular floor, the sixth.
Oops, my bad, Dennis. Sorry.
Okay. The 6th and 7th grade are on this wing. Each grade is broken into two teams. Each team has 3 general classrooms, and there's a special education classroom. But there's also the special education classroom, which is not your, that's the ELL room. The special ed room wasn't shown yellow, Chris. It's over, up, right there. No, you had it.
Right here.
It wasn't, no.
Right.
On the 6th grade, down at the bottom, right there. Oh, you just went through it again.
There you go.
That should be yellow. So the idea is that everybody in the 6th grade can pretty much stay at home in their neighborhood unless they go to specials. And one special that we've also brought down into the 6th grade is their science program, which is called STE by the state. STE are basically the first 3 letters of STEM or STEAM, science, technology, engineering. And that's what the state curriculum guidelines call science in the 6th grade. As we go up to the 7th grade, which is on the top wing, you'll see that there are science rooms. And in this particular case, you have your 3 generalized classrooms. And we've taken some time to show the flexibility of those classrooms and showing them in different, furnishings, orders of furnishings. And there are 3 generalized classrooms, a small group room, and an English language room, English language learners room. And then on the other side, there again, that which is shown blue at the just underneath Chris, at the bottom here. No, over one room, the room that wasn't made yellow. So,
That one.
yes, there. Okay, and that's the special education room. Why it's important to point those out is because whenever you see a special education room, you'll know that there's an accompanying toilet room that opens directly into the special education room. That's why it's important to point out. So there's resource rooms and testing and so forth also on that floor. So the 2 teams can pretty much stay together in their group, as well as the entire class of the entire grade in their neighborhood. And there's a large commons area in the neighborhood where project-based learning can take place. And there are small group rooms and academic coaches and teacher workrooms. So it's set up so there can always be adult eyes on what's going on. That same thing happens in the learning commons area on the 6th grade. As we move up to the 2nd floor, the 8th grade sits right on top of the 7th grade and has exactly the same layout. The outer wing that sits on top of the 6th grade is what we're calling the innovation hub. So it includes your media center, art, technology, tech shops. And we have made, if folks remember the original thing, the original scheme, you'll see that we've really worked at trying to cut down the footprint here on the 2nd floor by taking OTPT, which was down in the corner on the 1st floor, and bringing it up here and filling in more of the roof area with project-based space, which we're borrowing room from our media center space allotment by kind of trimming off one end of the media center.
Dennis, I'm going
So
to.
it all becomes.
Dennis, can I ask you to pause for just a minute? I see that
Yes.
Jackie has her hand raised. Jackie,
Yeah.
can you?
Yes, Jackie.
Yeah, so I'm wondering a question as I look at the 1st floor plan and the 2nd floor plan.
Yes.
In that academic wing, I don't see a space for a counselor's office or an AP or a student support room. Very often schools try to maximize spreading those across the campus so they're not all in one central hub. Is the
That's an excellent question. And that, as a matter of fact, one of the subjects we spoke about at the meeting this week. And so in order to keep to using terms that fit the space planning guidelines and of MSBA, and not to confuse things, we're spreading these pink bits all over the building, and they'll become that will evolve into what kind of spaces we have. So when you see the pink bits or the yellow bits, you know that there's kind of an eyes-on thing.
So can I restate what I heard you say, Dennis?
Sure.
Based on the model school plan, there has to be specific rooms in specific areas.
No.
However, I'm hearing you say that those pink rooms could be reassigned to be something else, but you're using terminology that is aligned to the model school.
That's exactly right. And you have it right, except for we can determine where the areas are that they go, because that's part of the way the school wants to arrange itself. So they really can't tell us where you might want to put a counselor's office or a dean's office or whatever, however you break up your academic program.
And then my last question is, what is TWR? That is the only one I couldn't.
Teacher workroom.
Teacher, okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Jackie,
These are great questions.
Those resource rooms are also an opportunity to just think. So they're in yellow right now.
Yeah.
You know, those while they're called resource rooms, they're likely, you know, they could likely fill in as like student support rooms, based on our conversations on when we met with folks.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's really beneficial to have a student support, whether it's counselor or AP, right on the wing so that they can get back to instruction immediately, you know, check and change, if you will, instead of having to go all the way downstairs to the office. So thanks for answering that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Well, and so Jackie, you know, I realized in bringing up that question, I'm going to steal the screen briefly. I realized we failed to give you a really critical piece of context here, which is everything that the Mount Vernon group is doing is within the bounds of what the MSBA refers to as their space summary template. And Chris, I'm just going to steal the screen for a minute. I'm going to flash this scary document on the screen just so that you know there's this document behind it and that the MSBA is quite particular about Chris, I think you need to unshare for me to share.
Sure.
Okay, I'll give you back the screen in just a minute.
That's okay.
The MSBA is incredibly particular about they bookkeep on all the spaces. And I'm going to blow this up a little bit, but in a nutshell, what this does is there's a list of spaces over here, and they have their names for them, which is the concept Dennis is referring to. And then we will be proposing spaces, and then they're going to, here are their guidelines for their spaces, which are maximums. And then there's this bookkeeping that has to happen on it. So there may be, the example Dennis was giving was basically saying that what you are calling something may be called something different in the space summary, but those are exactly the kind of comments we're hoping to get from the education team. So thank you. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing and turn the screen back to, I'm going to try to stop sharing. Yeah, I'm going to turn the screen back to Chris and Dennis. So apologies for the detour.
I do notice that Wendy had a question to ask.
And I see actually Anthony does as well.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to ask if there was a library space.
Yes, the media center. The media center is, there's even more than a library, because now that they're that's the terminology that the state uses for what they used to call a library as a media center. But we're finding more and more that there are so many modes of learning and other things and destinations for students to go to that serve a similar purpose in terms of being the brains of the building, as it were, such as art and technology and things like that, that we've created what we call an innovation hub. So a lot of people can participate in those activities, and we make it as flexible a space as we possibly can. And as we work through the design and furnish this building, we will make those spaces even more pronounced in terms of their use as we find the ways that they can work. One thing we also did do in the Innovation Hub is we included an ABL classroom, which is autism spectrum, because it's just sort of activities that can be appealing to students in being able to participate in project-based activities where they can use some of their strengths along with the other kids to get projects done. I get that kind of exposure is sort of what drove our thinking and putting that space there. still some flexibility where spaces can go, but that was one of our ideas.
So I see Anthony's hand is up.
Yeah, I just wanted to let the committee know. So, part of the upcoming work that I know, like especially on our end, is updating the ed plan a little more. And I know it was mentioned earlier, but just using like now that we have a middle school schedule that had been vetted and we're looking at staffing for next year, we know what, we're getting feedback on the specials that are offered. We want to go through and refine the ed plan so that then this design could reflect, could better align to what our plans are for next year. So an example is like nowhere in our ed plan do we have a tech shop, right? And you could see a tech shop there, but we do have world language as one of our specials, and you don't see a space dedicated to world language on this. So, we're going to be going through and updating the ed plan and like naming what specials we plan on having in the building so that then the designers could go in and fill in the blanks. Obviously through the academic subcommittee, they're going to be kept abreast along the way, but a lot of work went into with the middle school collaborative study and now the scheduling process. We just have a better picture of like what offerings we want to have at the middle school and what these spaces should look like. And we want our design to reflect that.
Great. And I see David has his hand up.
Yeah, hopefully
David?
you can hear me. I'm kind of losing signal here.
Yep. No, we can see you and hear you.
Oh, good. Kind of, it's good what we're hearing about the specifics of a room, but just a general question: is it within each classroom slightly smaller? Is that within the bounds of what we can do? Are we set in the current square footage?
So just to restate, because we heard bits and pieces, you are asking whether the size of the classroom is predetermined or whether there is some ability to adjust it.
Yes, that's correct. If we could make a small adjustments in the square footage.
You can make adjustments in the square footage. I'll tell you some of the controls that MSBA prefers that everyone stick to, and that is that your general classrooms be as close to all the same size as possible, and that your special education classrooms are equal to in space your general classrooms. What that allows a town or city or regional district to do is take advantage of all the spaces that the MSBA gives you and use it to your best purpose. There might be some time, because MSBA is allowing you to have a special education self-contained classroom at every grade. There might be a point in time where there's not a need for that to be a special ed classroom because the inclusion model is so strong in that particular grade as it's been moving through. And that opens another classroom space. So that's where the flexibilities are. There's also the opportunity to put movable partitions in classrooms and make them smaller, so you can make 2 smaller rooms out of a classroom. I hope that's helpful, David.
Okay, I don't see any questions, so we'll let you guys go back to where we interrupted you, I think, just as you had completed talking about the major classroom.
Yeah, I was just,
Yes, okay. Great. So also on this floor, we have the gymnasium, cafetorium, music room, our shipping and receiving, our kitchen, and our OT-PT room. And the reason why this is all on the second floor is that you all know this is a very challenging site. And we saw a real opportunity here to capitalize on the site and be able to put our gymnasium on the second floor because we have just the right height of land. And we can show you on the site plan, which we have. We did make one other change to the site plan because it was a topic of conversation. Do we have that, Chris?
We do.
Yeah. One other change we made, I'll talk about quickly right now, is that there was a concern that maybe there was too much parking and that the lower deck of parking was more than we needed. So we've turned the lowest part of the parking decks into a sort of outdoor classroom areas with paths, water retention areas that can be part of low impact development such as wet meadows or rain gardens and the like. And that's a real good learning opportunity. And by carving out little classrooms in the landscape, it can be really helpful for the kids to learn about their environment, their native plants, and how a site gets drained, as well as we'd like to capitalize as we move on in some of the areas that are down in the dingle. But what this helps to illustrate is the gymnasium being on the second floor allows children to exit the gymnasium and by use of stairs or an accessible path. And we found we had enough room to provide an accessible path rather than ramps to be able to get up to the playing fields at the park. So that was a real plus. So it really sort of did bring everything together. You can see that there's a platform, a plinth, upon which the first floor sits, which is down low. And then we've been able to manage the grades with the use of retaining walls and so forth to be able to come uphill and put a second floor at the same level as the gymnasium and the cafeteria. And this also illustrates that piece of roof that we had before because of the program and the size of the model school. And now what we've done is moved OTPT from the first floor and put it in a better spot near the gymnasium and with access to the playing fields. And then we were able to make that area where the OTPT was smaller in the school, slightly smaller, bring some of that space up to where that roof is, to start filling that in. And there was an extension on the media center that stuck down further than what's shown in our thing. And we were able to use some of that space. And now we have all the spaces we need on that floor and we don't have a piece of roof there. So that, in a nutshell, that's, where we stand and how we're addressing the building inside. I know we will be having a site meeting later, but I can talk briefly in terms of the site in that we've provided circulation all around for the benefit of police and fire, as well as access for deliveries. Also, it makes room for extra parking at that level. The lower level, again, is a nice flat level, which is at the level of the first floor, which has accessible paths that bring you down to the parking lot. And on the first floor, you have what we hope will be a highly utilized courtyard, which we can have raised planting beds, we can have formal or informal outdoor classrooms and so forth. And we've found that in the model schools, these have become very active spaces. And Erin, you have your hand up.
Yes. Excuse me. Thank you. Just curious, how many parking spots are, say, abutting the field next to the gym, approximately? Yeah, in that area.
Yeah.
Of 14? 13, 14?
This is where the public would come in for like, say, an evening basketball game or something of the like, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then the parking down below obviously will be well lit and have good walking access to get to the gym for evening events and such.
Yes, there's actually an accessible path that will bring them to the sidewalk here. So
Okay.
between this distance and that distance, all at 1 foot in 20 or less, they can get up to this.
Okay. I do like the addition of the added green space below the parking deck to it, and it seems like it'll be, easier for the site to have that than more blacktop.
Mm-hmm. Makes a nice transition into the wilds of the dingle, and I think it's a great place to learn. It's a great place because you have so many lessons, even insofar as not only your native plants, but the ways in which engineering devices that have been developed that are really environmentally friendly, that have been developed at one time both enhance our environment and give us these opportunities to train the site. And I'm sure it's something that Anya can help us a great deal with, and her input would be greatly appreciated.
I saw the first plan with the 2 parking lots, and my first question was, where's the stormwater going to go? How's it going to be handled? Where's the wet detention basin? Where's the rain garden? And seeing this, it's just, it makes sense. You're right. It is a nice transition to the dingle. And there's just so much opportunity for students to learn about that. I've designed a lot of rain gardens with educational signage right near it. So you can kind of see the whole system there and explain to the students. And I'm doing a project right now, and one of the teachers in Springfield has asked me to speak to her 3rd graders about the project we're doing in the park right next to their site. So they're starting young, trying to incorporate this into their curriculum, and it's a great opportunity. What is the connection between the site and the high school? There's a paved road there now. Would that be like a bike path or a driveway?
It's a drive, and as you'll notice, there isn't a sidewalk on it because as it stands right now, unless we really zig it and zag it, we'll look at different things to do. It's
pretty steep.
Accessible. It's quite steep. So we kept all of our sidewalks sort of up and around the school, but we understand that kids will be coming from this direction. So we're going to try to find ways to try to get them up in here, whether we use switchbacks or I'd love to be able to make it an accessible path, but it wouldn't be a sidewalk on the road. The road is.
So would you be looking for like safe routes to schools type of
have y'all seen what's there now?
It's a dirt.
It's a gravel path that's quite treacherous when it rains heavy. So even this will be a vast improvement. I wouldn't anticipate cars going through there. Unless we do anticipate that, but I don't know that would be open to traffic per se.
That's where they plan on
or something.
That's where the buses, if I'm not mistaken from the first presentation, that's where buses would come in and where like utility vehicles would come in, but not parents. Parents would come on the other side.
Right. Parents would come here and go around and drop off. You can see right where that sidewalk sticks out. They would drop off there, and then buses would be in the front of the school, or at this front of the school. The school really has like 3 fronts because they're all addressing the public. Actually, 4 fronts, addressing the public up here too. So all of that stuff will be carefully designed, but especially these 3 fronts.
Is that dingle all park property? Or school property or easement?
School property. Between Peck and the high school.
I wonder if like up by Beach Street and Route 5, if you can meet the grade more accessibly from a connection from there. and kind of traverse that hillside rather than come straight up from the high
Yeah.
school.
Well,
I don't know how many kids are walking
this
from
would,
that way.
oh, up,
Most of our kids are walking from
Chris,
that
at the
way.
top,
Yeah, up at the core at the four-way where it's
at that
beach,
little
beach and
corner?
5 and 10.
Like,
Yeah,
why don't you go? Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
up there.
Stay close to the, because that's high, but it
So I think it's even steeper over there.
precipitously. But if we
But
can create a path right along the fence, we might be able to do that as well. We're also looking for areas that we can clear for possible solar arrays.
I think you could come around and traverse that hillside, but yeah, we'd have to look at a topo map. But
Right. It's quite steep where you see the trees coming close to the property.
Mhm.
line. Yeah, it's quite steep, but where you can see the green here, it sort of bows out to the first.
yeah,
The,
you almost don't even need to be on the hillside. You could be at the tree line and have an accessible path through the park there. It also
Exactly.
would, you know,
Yeah.
it could tie into a perimeter walking trail for the park as well. But you can get safely from that intersection to the school through the park rather than Beach Street. It's a huge barrier, that dingle. You can't really go
Oh,
down
yeah.
it. But if
Most
you
of
had
the kids are coming up beach to get to the dingle. So if they went to the intersection, they would essentially be passing the school to then backtrack. So most of the
Right.
kids don't necessarily
kids are
come
coming
from the high
that
school.
side. Those kids will be going to Sullivan School.
Oh,
if
gotcha.
you're on
Okay.
the opposite side of Northampton Street. So those kids won't necessarily be walking across Crozier to come to school.
Okay.
So most of the population, it's more think about it as coming up Beach Street past the high school. So the
Gotcha.
dingle
Okay.
makes the most sense as far as where the population is going to be walking from.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be one of our challenges. One of the great things we can look into is the fact that the school property comes very close to the residential properties there at Plan Northeast. You can see this, Northeast, yeah. You can see that horizontal line just above those properties. Maybe that's a place where we can build an accessible path, because right now, those properties sit on a little plateau. And I think there's a little bit of the edge of that plateau that we can use. There'll still be some more earthwork that has to be done, but they can come off of that area. If the kids can get to that street.
That honestly, that is behind the high school field. So that doesn't really work for the Beach Street regional children either. They're gonna
Right.
come through the high school front parking lot and come up that way.
Yeah.
That area where you're highlighting now is like behind, and the only way to get you can't get through the high school fields to that back side. I don't think you can get through anymore because it's all fenced off because the public pool is there and then the high school fields are there. So there's no
Right.
way for kids to get back to that street if they're coming up that Beach Street area.
I see. So that little triangular area that we see there in Plan Northeast is where our challenge of making an accessible path for walking. So it may be a combination of ramps and accessible paths, but we could do some really nice things landscape wise, I think, and I hope Anya agrees.
So I'm keeping an eye on the clock, and I see it's 6:50, and I think this was actually helpful, but we should go back to the plans, I think.
Yes.
And continue the discussion of the gym cafetorium and the opportunities for the what I would call the enrichment spaces on the second floor that have some opportunities for programming. So
Right.
Before we move on, Deborah, I just saw you just put your hand down, but did you want to ask a question, hon, before we keep going?
It wasn't a question. It was just a suggestion from the Office of Planning and Economic Development. Aaron was just walking by and just saying, whenever you're planning anything about this site, you should just make an appointment with the planning department so you can make sure that you have all the permits and everything that you need as far as what the site needs.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, provide for you.
Absolutely. Even when not required, we meet with every board and bring everybody up to speed because it's a great resource and they should be fully informed of what's going on.
Well, and
Everything is on the list.
Mount Vernon Group. So a little bit of translation here. So Aaron Vega, spouse of Deborah Vega, is the planning guy.
Good.
So, and he's been a supporter of the project. He and Deborah both know, are sort of long-term supporters of the project. But I do agree with Aaron's interjection that we should get you introduced to him.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Deborah, for giving us a sidebar from Aaron.
That's great.
So, all right, so back to you, Dennis, to keep talking
okay.
about.
Oh no, I'm glad because that's one of the first agencies we like to see within the city is the planning board. So to go back to what the superintendent was talking about earlier, see, this is one of the ways in which the space summary template can help, because they say you can have a 2,000 square foot tech area. So even if it's not in your curriculum, we can say we're building this here, and that's the area you gave us for the tech shop. But the beauty is we have this large area on this whole floor here, from the media center to the project space, the gallery, and the art, which really can support a great STEAM program or a STEM program, and also have that room that is required for the bilingual education. Is that what, I'm sorry, is that what we were talking? Yes.
Which one?
The world language.
World language, yes, the world language area. So we have English language learner spaces, but we can also have a world language room. So it's great. So you can have, French and Spanish and Portuguese.
So there, as was pointed out earlier, so you have some unique program spaces that we need to account for, world language probably being the main one. The MSBA allows you to build space for unique programming to the district. And what's unusual, and I think has been a little difficult before we had plans in front of us, was to think about what those things would be. But as the middle school programming is evolving in Holyoke, I think the district's starting to have a better sense of what that is. So the immediate next step on this is for Anthony and Aaron working with the educational staff to get feedback on that and come back to the committee with a recommendation about what the best use of the spaces are. But the goal is for them to be super flexible, allowing as the curriculum changes over time, for them to be kind of co-located and flexibly usable. So I'm not seeing any hands. Dennis, do you want to maybe talk a little bit about some of the practicalities of things like where bathrooms are and
absolutely.
Entrances?
Yeah.
One of the things about this building is that it does have several different entrances, and actually Chris LeBlanc was good enough to show Aaron and myself a really beautiful building that Mount Vernon Group has recently completed in Ludlow, which is Chris's hometown. And I think I was hoping maybe you guys could talk a little bit, not just about the entrances, but how the sort of modern security system allows you to control those entrances. So bathrooms, exciting stuff, bathrooms, entrances, security.
Just a reminder to please not go into too much detail about security. That's something like from the school committee's view, we always would discuss in private session so that the public isn't too aware of our security measures, if that makes sense. So just be kind of vague if you don't mind.
Sure.
That's very helpful. Thank you. Sharing that.
You want me to
Do you
talk
want
about that,
to, you
Dennis?
want to take a tour through the school, Chris?
Sure. So in big picture terms, right, we'll meet with a security consultant and appropriate people in the district to make sure that, you know, the building is secure during operating hours. It will be allowing staff, students to come in at the appropriate doors at the appropriate times. It will allow public to use specific entrances for the public locations. We have the ability and we'll have the ability to, during public use of, let's say, the gym and cafetorium, to lock off the classroom wings and limit the access to public into the academic areas, and vice versa as the district needs. So one of the things we'll be working on, you know, again, without getting into the specifics, is talking with the district security team as to how our building will facilitate the policies and procedures of the district to make sure it's secure, to make sure it's accessible when it needs to be accessible, that the appropriate times allow for entrance and exiting of specific areas, you know, classroom locked doors, corridor locked doors, things of that nature, and how those will operate. And that's in general terms the same for every school, but every district does have its specific policies and things that they want to incorporate. So that's kind of the gist of the overall big picture. You know, make sure this building is very secure in today's environment that it needs to be. Vestibules that have double doors, which can be locked at both the main entrance and various side entrances. Most districts will say during school hours, you know, the entire building's locked from the outside. Everybody that wants to enter will then have to go through the front entrance and be buzzed in during certain conditions. Dennis, you want to talk about the specific location of bathrooms? I know you've been laying those out.
Right. And, you know, it's become an issue now in all schools and all public buildings, the design of our bathroom facilities. We have, as you can see in the corners of each of the wings, traditional boys and girls rooms. But we also have scattered throughout the building single user toilets, some of which will be called men or women or staff, but others will just be called toilet to address the needs of non-gender specific students or adults. And so we try to disperse them around the school, make sure that they're available, and there's plenty of single users as well as all the gang toilets that would be required.
And for easy wayfinding, they are typically located in the same location on each floor.
On each floor, yeah.
Right? So students going from floor to floor, transitioning the grades, the floors are laid out so the toilet rooms are easy findable.
And we stack them above one another. It's the way you save money and create efficiencies in designing a building. You know, having efficiencies in the design of the building is very important because it's a public building. It's in one that is very often schools are the most expensive buildings in the city or town, and they're meant to last for a long time. And so if you have to build something that can be that's affordable, but at the same time have the stature that such a public building should have. And our schools are very important to us. And I think we can all recognize. It's funny, you know, as school architects, we find in a lot of towns, the older schools that were built before the 1950s, before World War II, are really precious in the eyes of the citizenry because the iconography of those schools is one of a public building of importance, a secular temple, as it were. And so we find that helps in two ways. First of all, using an iconography that's accessible to all people, that represents their idea of what a school is, and is also built with the sorts of materials that have proven for centuries to be, you know, appropriate for the design of a school. So that's something we aim to do for Holyoke, and we also aim to make it beautiful. So, I do want to say, and that, just in terms of the experience of coming into the school, when a person first comes in to the main entry and gets into the lobby, they see before them a stairway which is split into two halves that they see directly out underneath the upper run, combined run of the stairway, out to the courtyard. And then they go up the stairs to a central stair, it's all open, and they land on another large lobby. The elevator also lands on that same lobby. We know we also have some more space for student support areas. We want to make sure we just took an area that we put blue in, and we know we can build some more rooms in that area. It's very centrally located and easy to get to. But we have scattered as I say, the student support throughout. In terms of wayfinding, we find it's very easy because the academic wings are the 7th and 8th grade are stacked one on top of the other, absolutely familiar to the children when they move from the 7th to 8th grade. Just as on the 1st grade, the 6th grade is very similar in its geography to the 7th grade. But because it doesn't have two science rooms, it still has the STE room, which is in the same general area. So that's a really nice thing in that we know that all the neighborhoods are equal, and that they're also they will have the same sort of comfort level of being able to find your way around. And being able to tie the building together, and it's best to show it on the second floor, I think, to tie it together with a large public space here at the second floor with entries that get out at the upper level as well, allows us to lock off the building entirely when people want to use the gymnasium, cafeteria, and so forth. So performances can take place, and even large gatherings of multiple people can take place by rolling back the portable wall or the folding wall between the gym and cafeteria. And I believe some of the committee has seen that in the model school in Marlborough and how that works. I find it to be quite successful.
Okay. Is there anything else that you folks want to present tonight?
Oh no, I just want to be able to answer any questions and so if there are any things that come to mind that we should be looking at besides the things that we already are and continuing to look at, we'd like to know. So questions are always helpful.
This may, oh, can I?
Yes, go ahead.
To point out that if you could zoom in on the upper left-hand side of the academic wing, we've laid out some furniture arrangements that show the flexibility of the classrooms. You'll see the same size classroom set up in several different ways. You can make that upper.
Yeah, I'm having a problem zooming in now, Dennis.
Why don't we go ahead and let Mr. Lubold ask his question while you guys are trying?
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. Lubold.
Thanks, Aaron.
I didn't see your hand up. I'm sorry, sir.
That's
No,
okay.
that's okay. That's my
Yeah.
job.
No worries. So, a question about outside of the building. How far out does like the MSBA look when they're going to, look at reimbursement? Like the road coming up, will that be taken into account?
MSBA will cover site work up to 8% of the total.
Okay.
Well, actually, they changed it in December.
They changed it a little bit, haven't they, Margaret?
Yeah, it's so it's I think I mentioned at the last meeting that they're on December 21st they made two changes. They bumped up the reimbursement per square foot on the building. And then they changed what had been a limit of 8%. Basically, you would take all the site costs and you would take all the construction costs and you would take 8% of that. And that was how much they would reimburse on the site cost, which, was really not great. So now I believe it's what they do is they take the square footage of the building and they give you $39 on every square foot of the building, which it makes some sense if you think that, typically that starts to scale the building relative to this, whether it's probably getting you a little bit more than 8%. But I think the nugget of your comment, Mark, is, we have to do the work we have to do to make the site work. And then they'll do this math that's, call it 100,000 square feet times $39. That's what they're going to give us.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I just want to know, I just feel it's so important to get a new school, for the kids and, somehow to make it affordable for the city council, and really just balance that in a way that we can get this much needed building, for our students.
So before we leave that, I just want to make one comment and I'll put it in the meeting records, which is back to the parking question. There's a lot more work to be done on this issue. And I just want to give you a marker. So I believe in the previous design, there were something like 78 parking spaces. I haven't gone back and looked at the number, but it's a little bit moot at this point because it's a new day and the program's different. Erin did check, look at how many staff members the building will have, and she's coming up with 117. Right. So I think right now the site plan isn't showing that much parking. And parking can be expensive. Mind you, the site plan is also not capturing parking that's sort of outside of the frame. But that's the point we're going to keep coming back to. And I want to comment, because we had put it in a parking lot previously at my suggestion, that Mr. Collimore's question about parking next to Crozier Field is something that we may want to look at as a way of making sure that, looking at options for providing parking. I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying that the school is probably going to want more parking than is easy to put on the site because of the topography.
I'll just point out that would be not in this committee's realm of things, and it would be something that would have to go in front of city council. Yeah. So I would start with probably a meeting with the ward representative, see how to go about that process.
Yeah. Agreed.
Can I just say that right now, I'm sorry, Aaron. Right now, that space is already public parking and only requires a permit before the hours of 7 a.m. and after the hours of 9 p.m. So that that area that you're talking about is already used as parking, either by PEC staff or by center school staff.
Right. They were talking about possibly altering it though, and making it like 45-degree angles and taking up a little bit more park space. And,
Okay.
So my only point is to make any changes to what is currently there.
Yeah, it has political implications, but I do think as we look at this, if we want to provide 117 spaces on the site, we're going to have to get creative, and that's a possibility. So, okay. I'm just looking to see if there are other questions before we move on from the Mount Vernon Group presentation. I see Camilla. You never had a chance to introduce yourself. Can you introduce yourself? Say hello. Did she just freeze? I think she just froze. All right, maybe she.
I want to ask is one question.
Yep.
Is for the water fountain because I didn't see nothing in the map. Yeah, and
So
it's right there.
yeah, we do provide water fountains and bottle fill stations, typically at each of the toilet room locations. They are on each floor around the building in the public spaces as well.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, the bottle filling stations are very important and very popular.
Okay. Any other questions? We got a couple of other things on the agenda we should hit quickly. I don't see any questions. So, Chris, do you mind taking that down so I can see everybody again?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay. So, what we're going to do is these presentations are part of the public record. I haven't talked to Aaron about this yet, but I expect they're going to be saved into the drive for the project, and they'll be linked in the meeting notes. So Chris and Dennis, if you could send it to me and Aaron Linville after the meeting, that would be great. And then Aaron Brunel, just looking back at the other things that were on the agenda.
Yeah, so next I believe we're going to be passing it over to Mr. Soto, who's going to give us a brief presentation on the mayor's behalf of a recap of what Josh Garcia presented at Finance Committee last week.
Oh, and actually, can I put that on hold for 1 second?
Yeah.
One thing that is outstanding, and Chris and Dennis helped me because I'm not seeing the dates. We were trying to get a site visit to the Marlborough, to Goodnow School pinned down. Mm-hmm. And Chris, where did that last land in terms of the best date? Because Aaron Linville wanted us to get that pinned down tonight if possible. So what was the date, Chris?
So Margaret, we confirmed that they are good with the Marlborough School either Friday, March 3rd or Friday, March 10th. At 4 p.m.
So can I hear, I'm going to do it. I'm going to count how many people can't do it. Okay. So on March 3rd, it would mean leaving Holyoke. Whitney, it took about an hour and a half, Whitney and Jamie, right, to get to Goodnow. Is that right? So if everyone's going to be there at 4 p.m. on Friday the 3rd, it would mean leaving Holyoke at 2:30. So of the folks who want to go, is there anyone who cannot make the 3rd? Okay. And how about on the 10th? Anyone who cannot make it?
Kathy, was your hand up that you cannot make the 3rd, correct?
Well, I can do both, sorry.
You can do both.
You can do both. Okay.
And Wendy, your hand was up that you cannot make the 2nd date, correct?
No, I think I can make either one.
Make either one. Okay.
So I can't make the 10th, Aaron.
Oh, sorry. I knew I saw a hand in that region of my screen. Thank you, Saka. Okay. I can make either.
Okay, so it sounds like we're gonna do the third. And so what we'll do is we'll send out an invite to everybody. And I think would be helpful, I think, to get some feedback just about who wants to come, but I don't need to capture that tonight. Okay. So with that done, nice job, team. I'm going to turn it back over to Aaron Brunell and Anthony to give the update on behalf of the mayor.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much of an update to provide. The mayor did present the 5-year financial forecast, which looks promising, but also, you know, he is aware that him and his team need to do a lot more work on utilizing the tool that the consultants created, so that they could really refine and fine tune all of the assumptions that went into both the revenue projections, get real fine tuned in terms of what they're expecting for expenses in the next few years, to basically be able to get to the city council, hopefully before the end of the school year, and get them to vote. But while there's a nice tool that could be used, there's still a lot of work that has to happen to really refine all the stuff that's going to get into that. And, you know, we're going to work closely with them to make sure they have everything on our end that they need to really bring that tool to life, so that it's very useful in informing the city council on the affordability of this project.
Super. Thank you. I finally
I'll just add to that, the other notes in this section were just about like timing, and it suggests that we aim to get in front of the council by May 2nd, if all goes well with getting in front of the MSBA for their April meeting. So just to bring out those 2 points.
So it's April submission,
Yep.
June meeting.
This is, well, on the agenda, it says hoping to get in front of the council on the full council agenda by May 2nd. But of course, that's just a note for now. We can certainly push that back to June.
I mean, I think that's a good time because we will have made the submission to the MSBA.
I think it's important to note that we're probably going to need to go in front of the council more than once. You know, it's highly unlikely that we're going to have a vote on our first visit.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we go in May, we can go again. There'll be questions to come back and return. We might have to present to finance separately as well. So, all right, great. Well, moving on then. Let me pull my agenda back up here.
Well, so Aaron, I'm just realizing there was also, in terms of site visits, the school that Aaron and I had an opportunity to see earlier this week, the Harris Brook School in Ludlow. There is also an opportunity on March 31st to visit that at 4 p.m. So again, is there anybody who would like to go who could not do March 31st for Ludlow? Don't see anything. Okay, so again, Aaron will send around an invite. The good thing is, I don't know what, Chris, 20 minutes? I think it was 19 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
It's really, really close. So it's a lesser commitment, and it is great. Okay, Aaron, back to you.
Thank you. Mr. Tallman, I saw you had your hand up briefly. Did you want to interject here? I don't know if we lost him, but our trustee city councilor, he suddenly disappeared from the screen. Maybe he accidentally hit something. If he rejoins us, I'll come back to him.
Trying to take his hand down and he left.
Yeah, I think he might have accidentally hit something. Sorry, I didn't mean to say tomorrow. All right, guys. Well, moving on then. Communications working group. We met briefly last week, and I'm sure you have all hopefully seen some of the press announcements that have gone out. We submitted the letter with an update to the city council, to the school committee. The Gazette did a nice article. Mass Live did a nice article. So we're just starting to make sure that we're getting all of the outreach out there. Did any of the other subcommittees meet since we've last met? Any updates that we need to know of? All right. If you guys do start to plan some meetings, please just make us aware of the dates so we can let the full committee know, so that they can attend if they so choose. All right. So moving on next, then we just need to approve the minutes from our February 2nd meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Lubold. I would entertain a second on that motion, please, folks.
Second.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, so if there's pending any further discussion, I don't see any hands or anybody that needs to make any amendments. So all those in favor of approving the minutes, please raise either your real hand or your virtual hand. For the voting members, thank you all so much. I'm gonna give Margaret a second to get a count.
I am struggling. I'm going to call names if you don't mind.
No, that's fine.
Okay, so because I think we have a couple of abstentions too. Camilla? Camilla, yes. David's gone. Deborah?
Yes.
Deborah, yes. Jackie?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Jessica is not here. Kathy?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Peter is not here. Raina?
Yes.
Whitney? Whitney.
He's waving yes.
Oh, he's waving his hand. Sorry. Anthony?
Yes.
Aaron Brunel?
I'm a yes.
And Kenya, I think it's not here. Okay.
And don't forget Anya, she's a voting member now. She might not be on your list yet.
I don't think I can vote on the
You
minutes.
can't vote because I don't think she's seen them.
You
so.
weren't here. That's fair enough. Good point. Thanks, ladies.
We've got 10. We've got 10.
All right. Any that do not approve on the minutes? All right. Seeing none, we will have voted to approve those minutes. Thank you all so much. That's, I think, it for tonight. So our next meeting will be on March 2nd. Just a reminder for everybody. And then if anybody needs anything in the meantime, feel free to reach out to Erin Linville or myself, and we'll get those concerns met. But pending, if anybody else has anything to talk about, I think I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Lubold.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. All right, all those in favor? Or will any discussion? Sorry, guys. Technically, discussion happens before the vote. Yes, Ms. Ortiz? I think you're just trying to vote, though, so we'll go with that. All right, all those in favor of dismissing or adjourning the meeting? Thank you all so very much for your time. I appreciate it. Will just to be formalized, anybody who doesn't approve adjourning the meeting. All right, great. We can formally adjourn the meeting. It is 7:24 p.m. on the 16th. Thank you all, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.